Today it felt like we should talk about T Higgins because I think that this is the number one. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
And how are they going to get hit? Jalen Hurts is A.J. Brown. How are the Bears going to get that for Justin Fields if it's a bad free agent class of wide receivers with guys like Jacoby Myers and Juju Smith-Schuster, and they got the number one pick, and there's no clear top, Julio Jones caliber wide receiver in this draft like there is in next year's draft, like Marvin Harrison Jr. How are they going to get the number one for Justin Fields? And I think it's a valid question. Are they going to be able to get the number one wide receiver for Justin Fields this offseason?
Right. And so there's a number of ways to do it. I remember fondly one of the thought experiments you did during the season where we talked about the many different ways to get a wide receiver, be it drafting or signing on the free agent
the
list.
Veteran route, the guys in their prime.
Right, and there's no free agent that's worth their salt there. So trading for one has become very popular. And T. Higgins, that trade, if it were to happen, closely mirrors what A.J. Brown and the Eagles did.
Very, because T. Higgins is a number one. He just happens to be a number 1B on his own team because Jamar Chase is a top 5 receiver in football, but T. Higgins is probably a top 15 receiver in football. He's unbelievable, and there have been games when Jamar Chase hasn't played, and he's still produced like a number one, so you can't even say, oh, he's not getting defensive attention. He's incredible. He's big, he's fast, he's a huge catch radius, he's an awesome red zone target, he's a go-up-and-get-it guy, he's an outside-the-numbers guy, he'll go over the middle.
Guagi off the charts, as many people tweeted at us during the playoffs when T had some incredible Guagi moments.
And a great wide receiver, Keyshawn Johnson, brings it up and tries to tie the whole room together with T. Higgins and the Bears.
I think they need to move out of the number one spot first and foremost. You collect some picks. You get maybe one, you exchange for whatever one. Maybe you pick up 2 ones in this situation, one this year, one next year. And then what you do is I talked about alpha dog receivers. You go to Cincinnati and you say to Cincinnati, hey, we know that you're trying to win a Super Bowl right now, but we want T. Higgins. And you take that one carrot and you dangle it in front of him. They'll probably tell you, well, we want a 1 and a 3. And you know what you do? You say, okay, I'll tell you what. We'll give you a 1 and a 3 for T. Higgins because if you wait till next year when he becomes an unrestricted free agent, you now have an opportunity to get him now. You'll be in a long line of people trying to say, well, we want him. We'll pay more money. You're in front of the line now. And then Cincinnati could take that 1 or that 3rd round pick or even a 2nd round pick and find a wide receiver to replace him and reset the money in the room because you got to deal with Jamar Chase down the line anyway.
So that's Keyshawn Johnson saying that they should do it. It's not going to happen, man.
Whoa!
I'll tell you why.
You're a joy killer.
I don't want to. Listen, I love T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Watched him at Clemson. Think he's great. Would be thrilled if it happened. Cincinnati is different than what Tennessee was with A.J. Brown. Tennessee was trending down, and they never had the great quarterback. But the other teams that had receivers that year, Seattle re-signed DK Metcalf. Washington re-signed Terry McLaurin. San Francisco re-signed Deebo Samuel. And you say, well, they don't have other great wide receivers. I mean, Washington certainly doesn't, but San Francisco has plenty of weapons. Seattle also had Tyler Lockett. You need multiple good pass catchers to have a high-level offense. Most teams are re-signing their guys, and Cincinnati is in its championship window right now, and I understand Burrow's on a rookie contract, T. Higgins on a rookie contract, Chase on a rookie contract. The question is, how are you going to pay all of them? Jamar Chase was asked some version of that on NFL Network at the Super Bowl, and this is what he said.
At the end of the day, I don't think Joe's really too worried about how much money he's going to make because he's already making a tremendous amount. But it'll always work. It'll work out for itself. It'll always work out. I think Joe knows what he wants and how he wants to set up his contract to keep some of his weapons around him, and I think that's the biggest part for him.
See, that's really interesting. So it's Jamar saying Joe knows how he wants to set up his contract. We've seen quarterbacks who are made guys and have already been paid a bunch, most famously Tom Brady, structuring deals in a way that allow the team to have some flexibility. That's what he's hinting at there.
Yeah. So how creative is Joe Burrow willing to be with his contract in the short term to keep T. Higgins and Jamar Chase together right now? He doesn't need to sign an 8-year, $400 million, 250 guarantee. He doesn't need to sign that deal. He could do the NBA equivalent of the 1-and-1 if he wanted to. Like the 1-year deal with the 1-year option. It would be rare for a player his age, but he could sign a deal
for a guy who's already had a season lost to a major injury.
He is such a made guy. His skill set should age very well, right? Because he's not like Lamar Jackson. It's not totally dependent on mobility. It's all arm and brain and moxie and coolness under pressure.
As long as he's not dealing with the ego and union expectation of setting the market forward as the next guy up when it's his time.
I don't think Jamar Chase talks about his quarterback's money if he hasn't talked to his quarterback about money. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he puts it out there like that if he doesn't do it. Now, it's not the richest owner in the NFL, and you've got to have these guarantees in escrow. You know, it's been a problem with the Raiders and Mark Davis. That was a problem with around the Khalil Mack signing. Yeah. So, like, is he going to be able to sign all of those guys right now to deals? Does he have, like, the liquid funds? It's a legitimate question. But if Joe Burrow is signaling to Jamar Chase, hey, man, don't worry. I've made money, and I'm going to make money.
And I'll help do whatever I got to do to keep us together.
To keep us together by tying my contract to salary cap escalators or signing a really short-term deal right now so you guys get paid first, even though I'm really up to get paid first, and then I'll sign my big deal in 3 years when the cap goes up again because of a new TV deal, whatever the case may be. How often do you NFL players, because the contracts aren't guaranteed, they almost always say some version of, it's a business, he's got to go get his money. You know, he's got to do what's best for him and his family because that's what they do. So when Jamar Chase comes out and is like, I don't think Joe's too worried about his contract. I think he's going to be fine. I think he knows that he wants to keep us together. And that to me was like, oh, this thing's over.
Here's my question, real quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If somebody in the God tier that T Higgins is in among NFL wide receivers can be made available and is gettable with draft picks, why wouldn't you rather have DK Metcalf? If you can get T Higgins, you can get DK Metcalf.
Well, is Seattle in a spot where they need to consider it because of pending contracts?
Seattle already signed DK Metcalf.
Right, and they're not going to have to give Geno Smith a deal if, or they might even draft one this year. It's possible. I've seen mocks that have them get traded up. It's not the same kind of cap pressure.
Shane badly wants to do a 3 o'clock segment on getting his favorite NFL player, DK Metcalf, to Chicago.
100%.
Yeah, let's book someone from Seattle.
I'll book DK Metcalf.
I'm a fan. Dude, that is the best way to ensure that we do that, a polls position on DK Metcalf.
If you book DK Metcalf.
100%.
Yeah.
And I said this to Tanny, and he got a big laugh, so maybe it'll actually work. If it's called polls position, should we be booking strippers?
Sorry, should have just gone with the Tanny laugh.
It's an idea.
Oh, okay.
Should have just taken the Tanny laugh and run with it.
Good for the day.
As the rookie, DK Metcalf coughed it up.
Yeah, I mean, that was DK Metcalf's position 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
When there were the four guys. It was A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf. 3 of the 4 re-signed with their current team, and A.J. Brown got traded for a first-round pick, and then Philly gave him the $100 million deal. But also, it's Keyshawn Johnson's right. You'd probably have to trade down in the first round and then trade that first-round pick for it, because you're not trading the first overall pick for T. Higgins. And if they did make him available, almost assuredly they'd be able to get a first-round pick this year as opposed to a pick, like trading your next year's number 1 pick for it. I saw an article out of Detroit being like, Detroit should trade one of their 2 first-round picks for T. Higgins.
Detroit's got a good young, was it Jameson Mitchell?
Jameson Williams.
And
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. They don't need that.
But if they had it, it'd be the number 1 wide receiver group in the end. My point is, if Cincinnati made it clear to the league that T. Higgins was available for a first-round pick, they'd have first-round pick offers this year.
For sure.
For sure.